Welcome to the latest edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host, Pete Pardo, publisher of Sea of Tranquility. You can also find us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. It is Monday, September the 29th, 2014. I'm going to jump right into it today because we've got a lot of new releases that are either have just come out or are coming out, and I want to make sure you got your eye on. The first, and you're listening to it right here and throughout this show, is the latest from Israeli progressive metal band Distorted Harmony. Chain Reaction is the latest. These guys have only been around a few years. Their last album was excellent. This is more of the same. It's just really melodic, symphonic, progressive metal with some great vocals and superb instrumentation. I highly recommend this if you are a fan of progressive metal. Over to the blues rock category, we've got the latest from Joe Bonamassa, formerly of Black Country Communion. His latest is Different Shades of Blue. This one is hot off the presses. Again, if you love Bonamassa, I mean, he's been pretty prolific over the last bunch of years. Killer guitar work. This guy knows how to do it all from blues to jazz to heavy rock. He's got soulful vocals, a lot of really catchy tunes on here. He's got a horn section on a few songs, which adds a nice element to it. Just classic Bonamassa if you've been following him for many, many years. He's been around for a while, and he releases albums almost every year. Former Led Zeppelin legendary vocalist Robert Plant, Lullaby and the Ceaseless Road, also fairly hot off the press. I kind of like it. I've just recently gotten this, so I've only had a few go-rounds with it. It's definitely different. I haven't followed Plant in quite some time. I love the old Led Zeppelin stuff. I really like his early 80s solo albums as well. This, a little bit different from the more recent bluegrass stuff he's been doing with Alison Krauss. Kind of world-sounding. Some of it's rocking in spots, bluesy, folky. There's like an African element going on, some really different instrumentation. He sounds great. He's not the wailing, vocal god of yesteryear, but his voice is held up pretty well, and he sings in a little more mellow tone. So again, I haven't fully decided whether I like this or not. It's definitely decent, and I'm ready to give it, even more time. So hopefully over the next couple weeks, I'll, grow to love it just as everybody else seems to be. I'm going to jump over to Eagle Rock, who have always been putting out all sorts of great stuff, either from the vaults or, some older bands who are still around kicking out new material. Here's one, Gary Moore live at Bush Hall, 2007. One of my favorite guitarists of all time, who left us way too early in 2011. This is a live concert from London's Bush Hall in 2007, where he plays a lot of his killer blues cuts from the 90s and up until his when he passed away. So if you love Gary, you'll dig this. There's even a great rendition of Don't Believe a Word, the old classic Thin Lizzy cut. Highly recommended. Status Quo, double disc live set recorded earlier this year in Ireland. It's titled The Frantic Force Final Fling, live at the Dublin O2 Arena. As many of you might know, or if you're in the US, you probably didn't know because this band just never seemed to catch on here, but if you're from the UK, Status Quo are one of the all-time great, longest-running boogie bands, and their classic four-piece lineup from the 70s reunited about a year and a half ago and did a whole tour of the United Kingdom and parts of Europe, and this is the final show in that reunion tour. This lineup is never going to appear again together, so it's got all the classics and a lot of great deep album cuts. Highly recommended if you're a fan of the Quo. Let's see, another guy who left us way too soon, John Lord, legendary Deep Purple keyboard maestro. This is a kind of a tribute concert that was done recently, where it gathers a lot of his comrades in Deep Purple, the existing Deep Purple lineup. Glenn Hughes is on board, Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, Bernie Marsden, Mickey Moody, ex-mates in Whitesnake, Paul Weller's here. Doing a lot of John solo stuff, other projects he's worked on, some Deep Purple tunes. It's just kind of like an all-star affair. It's a loving tribute to the guy, and we all miss John, and what better way to celebrate his life and musical career than something like this. Again, also on Eagle Rock. Last with the round-robin Eagle Rock today is this latest amazing standard definition Blu-ray release. It's also available on DVD and double disc CD from Queen's historic live concerts at the Rainbow Theatre in London back in 1974. So this is the Sheer Heart Attack tour, their first headline tour of the UK. All material on the, they played two dates, one in March, one in November. The Blu-ray has the entire November concert. It's just mind-boggling. All material from the first 3 albums, Queen 1, 2, and Sheer Heart Attack. It's heavy, it's raucous, it's glammy, it's proto-metal. If all you know is from Queen is like the 80s pop stuff, you haven't heard anything yet. This is just fantastic. The quality is terrific. Highly recommend this. It's probably one of the best Blu-ray releases I've seen this year, and it's amazing the quality considering how old the vintage is. There's a few tracks from the earlier show in March of '74, but the CD does have both full shows. I guess the video from the earlier show didn't quite make it all the way through. There's only a couple footage pieces here. Highly recommended. Let's see, what else should you be looking out for? Let's see, Napalm Records, we've got the latest from Audrey Horne called Pure Heavy. Norwegian 70s, 80s throwback hard rockers. Icedale from Enslaved is in the band. Good stuff, check it out. I don't know what's up tonight. Black Crown Initiate, The Wreckage of Stars. Great new progressive metal band, progressive extreme metal band, I should say, from Pennsylvania. This one's on Ear One Music, coming out tomorrow, actually. Fantastic, heavy, atmospheric, symphonic, progressive, crushingly heavy, brutal, all in one. On the atmospheric doom front with female vocals, we've got the latest from Ides of Gemini, Old World New Wave from California. Another one also, Alunah, called Awakening the Forest. They're from the UK. They're on Napalm Records. If you like that kind of old school doom with a little psychedelic atmospheric elements and female vocals, check out both bands. The power metal front, symphonic power metal, we've got Rose Avalon, Northern Strengths, they're from Spain, worth checking out. Heliosaga, Towers in the Distance, they're from the US, another symphonic power metal band. Enchant, one of the longest running progressive rock / metal bands from the US, called The Great Divide. It's their first album in many, many years, out on Inside Out Records. Highly recommend that. And on the stoner front, we've got Orange Goblin, back from the abyss on Candlelight. I mean, you can't go wrong with the UK's Orange Goblin. It's just a fantastic band, and this latest is as good as anything they've ever put out. Let's switch over to Forgotten Favorites, shall we? Some stuff I've been grooving to from yesteryear that maybe you all missed the first time around. In fact, maybe a lot of people missed the first time around, but I sure as hell didn't, and I'm still enjoying this stuff. Here we have Dutch Rockers' Golden Earring. This is their 1970? I don't know who I'm talking to because I don't have a director here, it's just me. 1970 release. This is great, really good stuff. It's a mixture of like hard rock in the vein of like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, with some like kind of folky, proggy stuff like Jethro Tull. If all you know of this band is Radar Love, there's a hell of a lot more to Golden Earring than that. So definitely investigate them if you haven't. Self-titled debut from Flash. Flash is the band started up by ex-Yes guitarist Peter Banks after he was booted or left. I think he was booted from Yes. And this is right along the lines of what Yes was putting out pre, obviously, the Steve Howe era. Just really, really good, complex, adventurous, progressive rock. A lot of guitar work. Banks is very underrated. If you didn't check this out back in the day, definitely check it out. This is the Esoteric Recordings Remastered Edition. Highly recommend it. And they did all the rest of the Flash ones as well. Growers of Mushrooms by Leaf Hound. A wonderful heavy blues rock proto-metal band from the early 70s. These guys probably influenced so many of the stoner bands of today. If you love really heavy bluesy hard rock from the early 70s with great guitar work and killer vocals, in fact the vocalist of this band actually spent some time in Cactus as well as Atomic Rooster, Peter Finch. So a mega release that never gets its due and probably fell under the radar for just about everybody. And here we've got a band that I really love, and probably most of you have never heard of before, called Satan. Courtney Act is their mid-'80s release, new wave of British heavy metal favorites. They only released this one album and then kind of disappeared from the face of the earth until 2012, when they came out with this Life Sentence follow-up. Took many, many years, but in fact I think I like this one better than their classic debut. Again, if you love that early new wave of British heavy metal sound, in fact, I think any Iron Maiden fan would just love these guys. Great ripping twin guitar work. The songs are melodic, but they're heavy. Speed metal at times, other times a little more mid-paced stuff, but no matter what way you look at it, these two albums from Satan are worth getting, trust me. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this week's episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility's Pete Pardo. Look to speak with you all next week at the same time. So have a wonderful week. Rock out, listen to plenty of quality tunes. Hopefully you've gotten some new stuff to put on your wish list here, and I'll have more for you next week. So take care. Bye-bye.